Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to a very special Evermore straight instant post-match reaction to a monumental historic day. Newcastle United have broke the curse. 70 years since our last trophy. They are Carabao Cup winners. Wherever you are in the world, grab yourself a bevy like me and Mark. We're going to take you through our reaction to that. And get in, Mark. Unbelievable, mate.
What a performance. What a day for everybody, isn't it? I'm just going to adjust my camera because it's only catching part of us. Unbelievable day. The scenes, the atmosphere, it was everything that the previous wasn't. And they were, to a man, utterly magnificent today. Really just unbelievable performance. I'm gobsmacked. I'm completely done. There's not going to be very many dry eyes in the northeast of England.
Or dry pubs, as I can imagine as well.
There will be plenty of dry pubs later on, that's for sure.
Well, there might be a few dry pubs, absolutely. The town will be rocking tonight. London will be rocking. You know, anyone who's obviously unlucky not to be there, jump in the comments and we'll try and have our own little party here tonight, an Evermore party tonight. But anyone in London, we saw the scenes in Covent Garden. I was watching Rob Rubenstein, what a legend he was, taking us through that. I felt like I was there with Rob, and the more he drank, the more slurry he got. But I tell you what, cracking job, Rob, unbelievable. I can't wait to see his videos for tonight because it'll be sensational. But it's absolutely incredible, Mark. It really is. We're going to get into everything in a minute, but just the way to describe this, it's the best word I'd use for this: deserved. Newcastle United as a football club, we've been through some horrible, torturous times as a football club. We've had some of the best players that have ever graced this Premier League who still haven't been able to win a trophy for us. Shearer, Gary Speed, Andy Cole, Peter Beardsley, Ginola, Ferdinand, you name it. They roll off the tongue. They get into most people's all-time Premier League players and they didn't win anything for us. Kevin Keegan, Bobby Robson before it didn't win anything. Eddie Howe and this group of lads have won a trophy for Newcastle. When Eddie Howe came in, we were on death's door. We were ready to go down. People were writing us off. Championship next season. Yes, we can criticize him for tactics and selections and stuff like that. But what that man has done today, what that man has achieved today, is a managerial fucking masterclass, and he deserves every ounce of praise that goes his way, mate. He really does.
Completely. I mean, the title of today's post match is legends, and every one of them will go down in history as to have broken that 70-year curse. The longer it went on, you started to think, has somebody actually put a gypsy curse on? It's like the curse of the billy goat or whatever it was for baseball. It's just, unbelievable. And you're right. I mean, the performance, the way that Eddie has got these guys playing, and they talked about it in commentary today, the total change of mentality of the club. And yes, we've criticised it at times, and I think I'll stand by an awful lot of the criticism for performances and selections and in-game stuff, but you cannot deny the fact that the shit show that he walked into is completely different to what is there now. And he's galvanized a group of players that and a fair few of them that are not favourites of the world, aren't they? You've only got to look to some of the reaction to Dan Burn getting called up for England. More on Dan Burn in a second. You've only got to look at those performances from those sorts of players, the Murphys, the Burn, the change of Joe Linton that we've covered so much. It's just absolutely brilliant. He's currently on being interviewed now, and I'm not actually listening to him, so we've probably jumped the gun a little bit. But honestly, what a day! And you said deserved. I mean, today was from minute one. They have deserved that that victory, because I think they used the term battered in commentary, and that's not far off. I mean, it's something like 17 shots to 7. The only real chance that Liverpool had was their goal. Other than that, I mean, Newcastle could have scored 4 or 5. It was just magnificent for them, and honestly, just for everybody tonight, just go out, go and enjoy it, drink it in, savor the moment, remember where you were. Although that sea of black and white on TV now of everybody there celebrating, it was just wonderful to see that colour contrast of the multicolour at one end, and then just this sea of black and white at one end of Wembley. Just wonderful.
Absolutely incredible. The comment there from Szechuan saying, a Geordie winning Newcastle, our first major trophy in 56 years, and getting man of the match is beyond poetic. You're absolutely right, mate. Let's get stuck in. So, this is how we lined up today. The big story was obviously the goalkeeper. We all wondered what was going to go on. A lot of us went with Dubravka. We did in our preview. A lot of people felt Dubravka was a bit harsh to being dropped for Pope, but we'll get into Pope in a minute, Mark, in terms of his performance, and he probably justified his place, I would say, in the end. But the rest of the team was, relatively picked itself. Harvey Barnes got his chance today. Liverpool made some big changes too. They brought Jota instead of Gakpo in that middle, that kind of front three. And obviously Kwanzaa playing at right back was, something that we were gonna target. But I just think from right at the start of the game, we went to Liverpool. We didn't fear them. We had a game plan. We were pressing. We were going at them. We were knocking the ball really well. We had a couple of nice little chances. Barnes ghosted in early on, didn't he? Just missed his chance. Just missed getting a toe on it at the end there. We nullified that right wing the entire first half, really, of that game. And it was an unbelievable job. I know you want to talk about it in a bit more detail, but Tino Livramento today was fucking brilliant at left back. He was absolutely outstanding. I know he's just been picked for England, but Jesus Christ, no one's kicked off about Tino being picked for England, funny enough. But if that's a kid that can play that well at left back or right back, he should be in every fucking England squad, because he was brilliant today. And he managed to deal with arguably the best right winger on the planet. Yes, he had a lot of help from Joe Linton. And I thought Barnes was excellent in that first half, Mark. But we were pressing, we were pushing really, really hard. Kieran Trippier was magnificent in the first half. I just thought everything about him, his game management, as you said, his leadership, you know, but his delivery from set pieces, and it's there we go. The podcast has joined the party. That's how excited he is. Podcast is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. But the goal comes, Mark. How many times this season have we been kicking off saying, why don't we score from set pieces? And the goal comes just before half time. It's a fucking beautiful ball out by Trippier. It almost bends on the whip with the outside of his foot. And Dan Burn, of all people, as we just said before, what a week he's had. An unbelievable header that Alan Shearer, who was watching in the crowd, would have been happy with. Right in the bottom corner, Mark. What a fucking goal that was to get before half time.
And it was coming, wasn't it? Because Newcastle were causing so many problems at set pieces and things. It really was, and I couldn't understand the tactics from Liverpool in terms of what they were doing at corners. Because you flip it around the other way, Dan Burn was marshalling Van Dijk when they were getting the corners, but they had Alexis McAllister on Dan Burn. There's 2 foot difference between the two. And he's there as a blocker and things, but Burn did that. I mean, that goal was perfect in terms of he pulls away, he directs his run. And I have criticised Dan Burn so many times of not reading the flight of the ball correctly. Damn, he got it right today. And that header was unbelievable. The power and the direction he gets on that is just absolutely unreal. I mean, he was excellent for the entire game, Dan Burn, as well. And we said earlier in the week he thoroughly deserved his England call-up. That just goes to show exactly why he deserves it, because he has marshalled, well, the best team in England this season and restricted them really to not an awful lot.
Absolutely sensational. We're all buzzing tonight. And George is buzzing in particular because he's just gifted, unbelievably enough.
Holy shit.
Evermore memberships, George. You absolute legend. I thought he was meant to be cooking the tea a second ago, but he's cooking up a storm. So you've been lucky enough to get NUFC memberships. And actually, it's at the best time ever because I picked up an unbelievable prize from the gem that is the Time Mouth Market of the week. That I was going to give away some member prize. And get this, the guy is going to do a new one if we won the Carabao Cup, and I'm going to go get that. So one of you lucky bastards who's just got a membership there possibly might win this unbelievable in the coming week, which I would like to enter, but I can't because it's our channel. But going back to that, Mike. So half time obviously comes, Mark. We're absolutely buzzing. But everyone's talking about how Liverpool are going to get back into this. Onslaught rolls the dice, he makes a few subs and everything else. But I just felt again, Newcastle didn't look like they're out of control. I think the midfield battle, we talked about the midfield battle, everybody did before the game. I thought Sandro Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes today with Joe Linton alongside him. How many interceptions did Joe Linton make in this game? He kept cheering. Yeah. I mean, Gary Neville was taking the piss saying he's on a hat trick. I think the last one was he just gets in the box and gets a toe on it and saves a goal on the back of the net. And he said that was the best of the lot. But I thought Sandro and Bruno and Joe Linton, the three of them today, Mark, the graft, the guile, the in-game management, the ability to break up play, the ability to absorb pressure, Bruno winning free kicks, Tonali just taking the sting out of the game, finding the right pass, Joe Linton everywhere, and obviously adding for that protection. And one thing about Joe Linton today, just to talk about Joe separately for a minute, I thought he was calm. Like, how many times in the past have we seen Joe Linton, when the ball drops to him, he's heading it or he's doing something wrong, but he was taking it down his chest. He was taking time. He was killing the game. And I just thought Liverpool's midfield couldn't handle him, mate. They couldn't deal with him. He was a power. No.
I think the only time he really lost any sort of control was when he threw Harvey Elliott to the ground at the very end of the game, which is fucking hilarious, by the way. I mean, if ever there was a mismatch in terms of weight divisions between those two, look, Joe Linton, that is the very definition of a perfect Joe Linton.
Best of Joe Linton. That's the best of Joe Linton. If you got a goal, that was the only thing that missed was a goal. Outside of that, it was the perfect Joe Linton.
And he was close with that shot in the second half as well. And he's not the best on the ball. We know this. He's not going to be the ball player. He's not going to be the quarterback of that. But what he does is he hunts down. He will battle. He'll throw himself into things. He will get himself in the way. He will wind the opposition up. He will get stuck into tackles. Midweek in the Champions League, when Liverpool played PSG gave the blueprint of what to do. Really, they were aggressive in their press. They got stuck into tackles. They did exactly what Newcastle are capable of. And Newcastle came out today and replicated an awful lot of that. From minute one, they were stuck in. They were aggressive in their challenges. Joe Linton put himself about. They weren't pulling out. They weren't getting, they weren't going in half-hearted with tackles. They were fully committed to absolutely everything. And Liverpool don't like that. They don't like it. It's like Arsenal of old. You throw Stoke at the Arsenal of old and they crumbled, and Liverpool did that today. They just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle that aggressive press, that aggressive nature of Newcastle hunting them down. Tino Livramento in the first half, almost at the corner flag, running a press along with Harvey Barnes and Joe Linton. It was just brilliant, and they panicked them into making mistakes and giving the ball away. Honestly, it was just. You've run out of things to say about them. They were just brilliant, and we haven't even got to the disallowed goal and Isak's goal.
We're getting there next. We're getting there next. We're getting all excited, Mark. That's where I'm heading to next. So obviously we keep pressing. We get in behind. It's a lovely bit of play again, like on that left-hand side. It comes back to Alexander Isak, goes over the right, comes back over. Alexander Isak slips it away. 2-0 up. Wembley goes fucking nuts. Everything's delirious. And it goes back to that horrible decision. And I said to you, I messaged you and I said, if I could find a person who invented VAR and punch him in the fucking head, I would do. I really would do. I know that sounds quite violent, but it's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. So it was ruled out because Bruno Guimaraes was apparently impeding the goalkeeper. He's right in front of Kelleher. And then you're thinking, what the fucking hell's going on there? But then minutes later, after having a shady first half, after me saying he's thick as fucking brainless, Jacob Murphy, who was much better in the second half, decides to make a twat out of me. Thank you, Jacob. I love you so much for it, mate. The ball goes in as a header comes back. It's against a lovely bit of play on the other side from Tino Livramento and Howe, who I thought were excellent today. They had a real good connection on that side. I mean, if Barnes can transmit this form to the right-hand side, Murphy might not get back in the team. Do you know what I mean? But Murphy gets assists, and that's what he does. So the ball comes over. It's a lovely little header back from Murphy. He climbs really well. And Alexander Isak, Mark, on a 52nd minute, he hits it on the half volley. So crisp, so clean. This guy is fucking unbelievable. He's the best striker we had since the guy who was wearing a bonnet in the crowd, cheering his head off, and his hat fell off when the second goal went in the shape of Alan Shearer. I mean, and then he does the celebration, fucking get out. I mean, how good is this man? And what a finish was that? And that in that moment, in that pressure, in that game, to finish as cool as that, man. What a player.
That's that's levels, isn't it? That's the levels of striker where they get that one chance, that snapshot, and he takes the chance before clinically. But that one is just it's such a good finish. It's so controlled. It's so calm. I mean, it's cliche now to say that he's ice cold, because he is, and that was as calm and as clinical and ice cold a finish as you will possibly find, because the ball that drops, and you can easily snatch at those. We've seen it 1,000 times from other players, but he knew what he was doing. He exactly how to hit it, how hard to hit, all of those things at once. And you touched on Murphy as well. That header down was brilliant. The ball in was exceptional. The header down was exceptional. And the finish was exceptional. It was just another brilliant goal.
It was absolutely class and well deserved as well. I mean, Newcastle were the dominant side in that game in terms of having
there
the
are
ball
cars going past, beeping their horns over the.
I love it, man. I love it. Somebody tweeted me. I was wearing my jacket earlier on, and I took my daughter to one of our clubs, and I went like that back in the car, taking the mic, and somebody tweeted the horn at me earlier on as well. The feel good feeling in this whole city is just going to reverberate for the rest of the week around the world, wherever you guys are. A lot of you guys aren't in Newcastle or England who watch us, but everybody's going to have a smile on their face, a spring in a step. But Newcastle were good for this 2-0 lead. There was no doubt about it. So the game goes on. Onslaught seems to bring on any player who can attack. It just seems to be every fucker's coming on. Newcastle make a couple of changes as well to go with it. Neil Craft comes on. A couple of others come on as well in terms of our substitutes. But it was just absolutely unbelievable. It really was. I mean, I'm just trying to look at our subs here to see who came on for who. So Joe Willock and Wilson came on the 81st minute for Barnes and Isak, who was cramping like a motherfucker. And Emil Kraft came on for Jacob Murphy in the 90th minute as well. But it was absolutely brilliant. The only kind of scare moment, I suppose, was two things. When we heard there was going to be 8 minutes injury time, and then when Bruno decided to go do a weird 360 turn in the middle of the park and lose the ball, which then led to Chiesa's goal, which VAR took how long to decide whether he was onside, Mark? I mean, it took one look for me to say he was onside. Why did it take so long?
My initial thought was, he looked miles offside, but it was after he'd moved through, and they'd gone back to look at the foul a couple of times. I mean, what on earth Bruno was doing at that moment? I mean, his head's gone, really. And to be fair, he's done it a couple of times in a couple of weeks, and it's come off. I think he missed the ball when he went to do that 360.
He didn't touch it at all. Didn't touch it with his foot. And
it's a great finish from Chiesa, and shows actually what Chiesa is actually capable of. But that was a heart and mouth moment. And just to backtrack a little bit before that, can we just talk about Nick Pope's save as well?
Oh, that was an unbelievable stop. And that's when he justifies his place, Nick Pope, because he's such a good shot stopper, Mark. And that was a great save. You're right. That was an absolutely amazing save, because that could have easily went in the back of the net.
Yeah, it's one of those where it hits his arm slightly wrong and it just ricochets in the back of the net. But he's got his arm up strong just to deflect it, and it hit at him so quickly that it's instinct. The arms go up and that's it. So I have to give him huge credit for that. He didn't have to do an awful lot else.
They didn't test him a great deal.
He came for some crosses. He did some good punches. Didn't have to do an awful lot else. He wasted time when he had to. He got his booking for wasting time. That's a celebration in itself. But no, I think where I sort of felt for the fact that Dubravka didn't play in it, I think completely justified the fact that Nick Pope took the number one today. And just a brilliant performance, and the end of that game was a little bit more nervy than it should have been.
Yeah, I would say so. But the game ends. Newcastle United have won a trophy for the first time in 70 years. The emotion, Bruno's in tears. Everybody's going fucking nuts. Some of the fans just almost look like time has stopped. They don't know what to do with themselves, because it's absolutely unbelievable. Now, man of the match, we've had a few jump in the comments, right? But me and Mark had a chat with us before it came on. And our man of the match is every single one of them who played today. It might be a cop-out, but every single one of those players today have just made themselves legends. I said it in the preview, you've got an opportunity to make yourself legends, make yourself immortal in this close history. And that's what every single one of them has done today. But shouts out for unbelievable performances, Mark. Dan Burn, incredible. What a week Dan Burn has had this week, man. I mean, that guy must be on cloud fucking 99, never mind cloud 9. I mean, how does he even sleep tonight, Dan Burn?
I don't believe he does, to be fair. I think there will be an awful lot of bad heads in that Newcastle dressing room tomorrow morning, and rightly so. But Dan Burn was magnificent. Not just for his goal, but I thought he was excellent throughout the game. Everybody's kind of said Joe Linton was magnificent as well. His performance, incredible. I thought Bruno had a really, really good game.
He stood up. He did exactly what we asked to win this game. Yeah, he needed Bruno Guimaraes to stand up, and he stood up big time today. He was.
Do you know what? It was more of a captain's performance. If you go back to the first half, there are a couple of moments where he starts to run away, and we've seen in Premier League games where he feels the contact and falls over. He didn't. He carried the ball. He was strong. He held off the Liverpool player, and his passing was a little bit quicker. He seemed to be moving quicker. It was a really, really good performance. The only downside to that is that stupid 360 at the end that ends up in the lead up to the goal.
Thankfully, that's completely forgotten about now.
Exactly. Outside of that, he was brilliant. I go back to Tino as well, though, because I thought he's had some stick for his performances over the last couple of months. And excuse the cat in the background, he's decided to be a complete menace today.
He's excited, first time in 7 years.
I think he is excited. Yeah, he's had a few cans. He's getting into it.
He's been up the tower with the stack.
But yeah, I mean, look, Tino, he's had some stick because, to be fair, his performances in recent weeks had been off. They haven't been what we've seen from him before. I thought he was excellent. He was really, really good at left back. He got down there.
Performance today.
It really was. It really was. He didn't try and do too much. He did his job and he did it brilliantly.
He was absolutely outstanding, and every single one of them, to a man, were just incredible today. They really, really were. You know, I was laughing at the subs as well. Will Asula, as Ian says there, Big Willie has a winner's medal. That's nuts. What I loved about Will Asula was the minute we won, the fucking tracky top was off and he was on the pitch like this, like he just played 90 minutes. So I absolutely loved that, to be fair. But just so the belief in that side from the first whistles, a few of the lads have said, for the first whistle, it felt different in the lead up to this game. We were all talking about it. All the content creators were talking about it. It feels different. Something feels different. Eddie Howe said we went and stayed at a different hotel. They prepared differently. I think the last final we had against Man United, they were almost shocked to be there. This time, we knew we deserved to be there, and we had every chance of winning that cup. And a lot of the times when, underdog teams, that's what we were today, underdog teams do the unthinkable and win these trophies. It's the belief that gets them over the line. It's not necessarily the ability, but when you have players in your team like Bruno Guimaraes who can take control of the midfield, and like Alexander Isak, who's capable of that today, he's pretty much in the game. He's done fuck all, bar that. And that's all he needs to do because he's absolutely electric. And honestly, Mark, I think these guys will honestly look at this and they'll start to think, hang on a minute, they'll start to think, could we win more? Can we win more here? You know what I mean? Can we win more here with more players added in, a big summer, a top right winger, maybe, another centre half, that kind of a thing. Can we do it? Can we win more? Do you know what I mean? Why can't we?
The confidence that comes from this, it's the belief, having won one, that the next one will come. The next one isn't then, it's not so big a deal. I mean, it is a big deal, don't get me wrong. But to get the first one in 70 years is such a huge achievement.
Massively.
I think there's go back a couple of years, I think there's a fear factor going into it. It's the first one in so long, or the first final in so long. There was the element of emotion that went with it. It was all about that time. It wasn't so much about the game itself. It was all about everything that went around it. And Eddie, like you said, they stayed close to Wembley. They took in all the stuff that was going on. I think this time they removed themselves from it and just went, We're here for a game of football. We're here to win the final. We're not here to kind of lose the mantle of if they're to take part. They're there to win now. And they did that absolutely. And I think that was the best thing they could do. But you saw from them a belief that they could go and win that game. Not just that they were happy to be taking part in a cup final. It was real belief that they could go out and put a performance in, shut Liverpool down and go and win.
Well, that comment there from Kay says it all. Yassir pointed to the camera saying this is the first, not the last. Amazing ambitions. And that's what we need. For the Saudis to have a taste, Mark's just nipping off to deal with something there. For the Saudis to have a taste of what this could be, in terms of that's what we can do with the limitations, the restrictions, all of the shit we've had to deal with in the Premier League, not being able to buy players, all that kind of stuff. Mark's back in the room. All that kind of stuff. The fact that Saudi Arabia have been able to back the manager enough to get him to the point where he wins the trophy, and he's got to take loads of plaudits, Eddie Howe, because he's not been back for 3 transfer windows. He's not had a first-team player. He's improved players exponentially that we all writ off. Joe Linton, Miggy before that, Longstaff before that. He's improved these players unbelievably to the point where they've done so much for him. But he's now reached a point with a lot of players in this squad where they don't have any more levels to give, and he needs to have replacements to go again and go again. We've got a taste of silverware now, Mark. So back the manager and let him go after more trophies. Fuck it. Let him go after the league. I know that's a little bit premature, but back him with the right players. And it might not be next season or the season after, but eventually we'll be going for that league. But every single season we should be in for Champions League contention and going for the trophies, the domestic trophies. And I said this in my preview. Football needed this. Football needed another club to win a trophy because we're fucking sick of the same old people winning the same trophies time after time after time. It was Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City. Fucking sick of it. Spread it out. I loved it when Leicester did it. I love it. We're doing it. I want Aston Villa to win the Champions League. Fuck it. I want Villa to win the Champions League and shit it right up everybody else and show that other teams can do it as well. I'm buzzing, Mark. I'm buzzing. I'm losing my mind. Oh, you're on mute. You've lost your mic. You've lost your mic.
I've lost my mic as well. It's all going wrong tonight. No, Chris has gone mad. No, look, it is brilliant. And you're talking about going on to win the next thing. Look, this, I think in the comments of the video the other day, we're talking about taking the belief from this and rolling that into the last 10 games of the season. The cloud that these players can now sort of play on it and take that belief that it doesn't matter who comes up next, that you go in and put a performance in it and really run that table now and go and qualify for the Champions League again this season. It's really there for Newcastle to go and take the games this weekend. Obviously, no Premier League game for Newcastle this weekend, but the other results have kind of fell in the favour of those in there, because Brighton and City draw, Chelsea lose at Arsenal, Bournemouth lost. The only one that didn't was Fulham, who beat Spurs, which was no great shock. But there's real now, I think, belief that where European football at one point, when things started to turn, it's like you go, maybe it is a little bit too far to get into that top 4 or 5. I think there's belief there that with performances like this, it's almost 10 cup finals now, and that's maybe been a little bit. It almost sounds a little bit tin pot, and I apologise for that. And I don't mean it like that, but there are 10 games to go to give their all into going into qualifying again, and you get into the summer with a bigger pot of money to then attack next season. And why not? Why not? Why not challenge for a league title in a year or two's time? Because if you bring the right players in the right positions, you have the right squad depth. It's possible. Leicester proved that was possible. Manchester United were running on with one of the worst squads they've had in years. A few years ago, and finished second, not far behind Arsenal, who haven't had a centre forward for God knows how long, look like they're going to finish second 3 years running. So why not? Why not aim high?
Absolutely. Speaking of aiming high, would be Farmer's aiming high because he's clicked that button to be a member of the Evermore
Thank you,
YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'm not sure what you mean by this one, Croc the Crocodile. Unsub chat peeps, the more you like it interact, the more chance you have of being a random sub from someone. I'm not sure what you mean by that, mate. Let me know what you mean by that. I'm not entirely sure. We always do our best to pull the comments up, mate. There's plenty of channels that ignore people. Right. Sorry, I can't cheer the Villa. Well, that's fine, mate. If you hate Villa, that's fine. I was just saying it'd be good to see other teams win. So don't unsub because I said I want the Villa win the Champions League, mate. But, mate, I want us to win it if we were in it, but we're not. Sadly, maybe next season. Baron is saying, fantastic group of lads, fantastic captain, fantastic manager. It was nice to see the 3 captains as well, wasn't it? With their hands in the trophy when Trippier went up with Bruno and then they called Lascelles over as well, because this has been a long time coming for these clubs. For these players, a big part of this football club. They've been here a long time. That whole saying of where were you when we were shit. Lascelles was here when we were shit. He was right here when we were shit. He was a young lad arguing with his teammates against Southampton and went down. And there were a bunch of heartless wanks. And Lascelles was a massive leader for us getting back to the Premier League. And he was excellent. And then he was replaced effectively by better players in that position. And then Trippier was an unbelievable captain for us. And then Bruno's now come in and been the captain. And you can't say Bruno's a bad captain. He's just lifted a trophy for us. But the togetherness and the unity you can see, Mark, in Eddie Howe's squad is there for everybody to see. For a lot of them lads there, the harsh nature of football, and I'm not trying to ruin the happiness of this moment, but the harsh nature of football. But the harsh nature of football is, for a lot of them lads, something that might be the last Newcastle game. And what a game would go out on. You know what I mean? Some of these lads, in terms of, obviously, they play the rest of the season, but in terms of a game like that, it's the last final they'll ever get to with Newcastle United. Do you know what I mean? So I think the squad naturally has to evolve and progress, and I think that's what's going to happen.
No, I get that. I mean, you could argue for a couple of them, it could be the last final they get to if they don't get to another one with Newcastle again, if they were to move on, because for some of them, they're not going to move up. I think the only way is to move on to other rounds. So, excuse me. I think you're right. That it's not being a buzz. I think that's the realistic thing. But to be fair, I think at this moment it's just they've got now that little tick in the box that says they've got honours now that go with it. They've got that to be able to take on and go, do you know what? Doesn't matter who they come up against. They can go with them, go and write their names into legend for the rest of the season. And if you could kind of bottle that from today and take that forward, it would be an unbelievable thing. But those players have put on a magnificent show today, and some of the more unfancied ones. The one I didn't mention earlier on, who'd taken some stick recently, was Fabian Schär as well, because I think he was excellent
today. He turned back time, as I said in the preview, mate. He must have watched the preview.
He channeled his inner Schär.
Must have done his inner Schär, but no, he was much better than Schär. He didn't fuck around with it. He kept it nice and simple. But I mean, Liverpool fans, I was laughing looking at the crowd. I wasn't laughing at a misfortune, but they were looking all sad and forlorn. And just before the game, they said how many times they've won this fucking cup. This would have been number 11, I think. And I actually said to the wife, who wasn't overly bothered about watching football, but I said, fuck off. You won the bastard thing 10 times. I says, fucking, it's our turn. It's our time. And, quite often with teams, it's that first trophy that drops that then sets them off on the ball roll. It sets them off on that little mini dynasty. You look, even when Pep came into City, I think, the first thing he won was the League Cup. And then he kicked on and he moved on. I think Jurgen Klopp's trophy, he might have won the League Cup first. It's all these things that kick on. And I'm buzzing, never mind all the players and everything else. I'm buzzing for Eddie Howe, Mark. I'm buzzing for Eddie Howe. He's the first English manager to have won this trophy since Harry Redknapp when it was Spurs. I think when Jonathan Woodgate scored the fucking winner. That's how long ago that was. And if this is great for British coaches as well, because there's often a lot of stigma around the lack of British coaches coming through, the lack of British coaches getting a chance. How inspiring is that guy to young British coaches, maybe players who have suffered injuries, and going into coaching like Eddie Howe did, or maybe players who are retiring up and going into coaching, like you look at Kieran Trippier, I see him being a coach. How inspiring is someone like Eddie Howe to those guys? Look at him, he's managing, he's winning trophies. And if this is the first of a few that Eddie Howe is going to win for this football club, I think that's brilliant for the future of British coaching as well, Mark. I really do.
The other thing it also does is inspiring to look at where he's come from.
Yes.
he was a player that hadn't finished his career and got injured and had to walk away from playing. Went into management and managed from the bottom to the top. Now, there's an awful lot of managers or players that come to the end of their career that automatically think they should walk into the top jobs.
Yes,
because of their name. Eddie Howe wasn't a household name. Let's face it. As a player, we knew about him, but he wasn't the greatest footballer in the world. And sometimes you find out, don't you, that the worst, not the worst players, but the players that aren't, not the world class ones tend to end up being the better managers. Klopp, Ferguson, Wenger, Mourinho. Guardiola was class, but he wasn't at that sort of echelon of the Messi sort of level, that kind of thing. But he was a good player. Eddie Howe was a good player. He wasn't a magnificent player, but he took his chance. And when he took over at Bournemouth, and he was really young, and he's thrown himself at it, and he's learned as he's gone. He's made mistakes along the way. Obviously, the time at Burnley didn't work for him, but he went back to Bournemouth, and he brought that club up from right at the bottom all the way.
Nothing. He brought it from nothing, mate. Yeah.
And look at where they are now, and they're there because of the ball that Eddie Howe started rolling, and he's done it, I guess, in the same way with Newcastle. He's taken them from the pits of the bottom of the Premier League when he came in, and he's built that momentum now. And I think for any younger manager that is in the lower leagues, that is, or players that having to come out of the game because of injury, what an inspiring man to look at and go, do you know what? Actually, we can do that if you dedicate yourself to it. If you put the time in, do what he did and go away for a year and go and learn from some of the better coaches and learn your techniques and your training and all that kind of stuff. Put the time and put the effort in. And I know it's difficult. It's not going to work for everybody. But he's a hell of a person to look up to in that respect.
He is absolutely. He was looking emotional as well today. He's normally quite buttoned down, isn't he? And very cool, but he was getting very emotional. Got a super chat in from David Knight. Thanks for that, David. He said the Woodside pub and crew turned off the trophy because all the Liverpool fans are in there. Boo to their Woodside pub. My mate, who's a City fan, was even more angry than I am. That's really petty, that, isn't it? Really petty. There'll be Liverpool fans kicking off and moaning about it. But to be honest with you, most Liverpool fans watching that tonight should realise they didn't show up. They didn't show up at all. If Newcastle hadn't showed up, we'd have been very honest about it. We'd have said we hadn't showed up. Like we hadn't done really, in a lot of finals prior to this. But we showed up today. We really did show up today. We had a belief about us. Rockhopper's still high as a kite. Absolutely, mate. Come down. We've got Mary Poppins to come get you, Rockhopper. But he's, we showed up in this game. But I all think it was from the mentality, the belief. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Howe showed the players that Man United final and just said, this cannot happen again, lads. We're better than this. You can't do this. And I think they just seem enthused. Bruno talked about a maturity in the game. They look calm. They look like they belonged there. They look like they belonged in a cup final, and they felt they had every chance of winning it. And that's exactly what they did. And I'm so proud of these lads. Like I say, whatever happens now, whoever moves on, whoever stays, right? As A2 says there, we fucking did it, right? Those players are forever etched in the history of Newcastle United. They will never need to buy a pint in Newcastle ever again. But even Matty didn't get on. Poor Sean Longstaff came off the bench and had to sit back down. Didn't get on, I don't think, did he, towards the end? But Sean Longstaff will be having tokens in 25 years about this day, about winning the cup for Newcastle United. The first cup. I mean, it might be the first of many, but it's the first. And because it was the first, it's going to be so special. And every single one of those players, no matter what we thought about them, no matter what we said about them, no matter how much we've critiqued their performances, every single one of them, Mark, tonight deserve every single bit of adulation that they've got. They've done it. They've won the first trophy in 70 years, and it's an incredible feat. An incredible feat.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Look, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on next, they can't take that away from you. That is, you're right. That is etched into their legend for the rest of their lives, for the rest of their careers. To be the first team to break that hoodoo. Not only that, to break the hoodoo of beating Liverpool is a start. It's a decade or so since that happened. but to break that final hoodoo, to do it in such a manner, they have built themselves up into legend status again, as the title today says. And look, they said whatever they do next, they will be welcomed back to Newcastle with absolute open arms, because that
100%.
Just see what that went to the fans when the camera was panning around the ground, and it was fans of all ages in tears of what's going on. And I know it's like an awful lot of you people in the chat as well who've said the same thing, that it will take a while. It's going to take a while to kind of sink in properly, because none of us are used to this. None of us are used to this. There might be some of you over an age whether you've experienced this before. We never experienced this. We've never seen this happen in our lives. So
people in the chat there have been saying they're 50 odd, and they didn't think this was ever going to happen. It's great. I think my missus' granddad's in his 90s, and he was at his mid 20s the last time Newcastle won a domestic trophy, which is just fucking mad when you say it out loud. But it's absolutely phenomenal, really, really is. I'm kind of a bit stunned by it, I'm a little bit numb by it, but I think we've managed to get through this post match as best we can. We are going to be live tomorrow, so we'll save a bit of this back for tomorrow. We'll put the link out again for you guys to come and join us and have a chat about the game, about how you feel about your feelings. Hopefully some of the travelling fans who are down in London will be back home. They can jump on and relive the memories and tell us what London was like as well, what Covent Garden was like, what the game was like, and everything else as well. But I think we all need to go have a lie down, Mark, don't we? I think after that right now.
A few more drinks, I think, for everybody will suffice. I don't think anybody needs to lie down just yet. You've got a few more hours to soak all of this in. As George says, a nice pint of champers to go.
Very good. Bring the champers out. I was going to say, George, I don't know if you've had a scratch card coming or something, mate. 50 memberships and now a glass of champers, mate. The missus will be telling you, I'll put your checks the old bank balance. But no, that's absolutely brilliant. Listen, it's been amazing to come on to this instant reaction, guys. We're absolutely buzzing. What an unbelievable day for the football club. Every single supporter all around the world, whether you're in London, whether you're in bloody Lebanon or whatever, every single Newcastle United fan is just in absolute bits after that today. So proud of the lads, so proud of Eddie Howe. And we are Carabao Cup winners. We won a trophy. Nobody can take that away from us right now. And this is just absolutely incredible. But thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the love. Click like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. We are over 10K now. We're over that. Hopefully that little buffer where we don't drop back under 10K. So we are working on some really nice prizes as well. Got a comment there. Sorry, just the comments just come in there. I just noticed that's 5:30 a.m. in New Zealand, says Sheeran, and he cried at a full-time whistle in the same shirt as I'm wearing. I'm buzzing for you, mate. Absolutely buzzing. People wonder why you're up so early crying your eyes out. But hey, tell them it's about Newcastle winning the cup. I'm sure they'll understand it. But we'll be back tomorrow night at 9:30 with the link for the members to come in and talk about this game. Have a belter evening wherever you are, everybody. How are the lads? Carabao Cup winners. Get in, and we'll see you later.
Take care, guys. See ya.